So, Senator, federal law says New Jersey cannot have sports betting. The district court agrees. An appeals court says no to New Jersey, and now the Supreme Court says no by not taking the case. You say New Jersey can have sports betting, and it will by this September. What am I missing?
Well, what you're missing is the Justice Department's argument why their federal ban is not unconstitutional and why it's not violative of our state's rights under the 10th Amendment. They said, we're not stopping you from repealing your laws banning any type of gambling, including sports. So we're going to take them up on that offer. I'm introducing legislation today that will allow sports betting at our racetracks, at our casinos, and Monmouth Racetrack is ready to go this September.
Now, unless I misunderstand, that law says that a government entity, like let's say a casino control commission, can't license or authorize the sports betting. So you're saying the state's not going to be involved in this, it'll be private entities, but it also wouldn't be regulated, correct?
That's correct. They'll have to self-regulate it, but it's in their interest to promote their business, to give the consumer, the betting public, a fair shake, because this is a huge benefit to our casinos and our racetracks. If you go to Las Vegas, Final Four weekend, Super Bowl week, any big event, the World Cup, you cannot get a room. The restaurants are packed. The shows are packed. Atlantic City is a ghost town. We want that right here in New Jersey, and we have the right to it, and I believe we can do it.
Understood, but you know, nobody would want casino gambling that's not regulated or at least monitored by the state. Why would sports betting be somehow better sanctioned by the angels so that it doesn't need that kind of regulation?
Because sports betting is already unregulated. Right here in New Jersey, we have organized crime betting rings being busted regularly, a few times a year. It's all underground. I don't equate our racetrack operators and our casino operators with organized crime betting rings. I'd rather have them do it rather than organized crime.
So, Senator, why wouldn't the feds just shut this down? It would still be illegal under federal law.
Well, according to what they said in their briefs, we can do it. They're not shutting down marijuana distribution and sale and production in Colorado and Washington either. So I don't expect that they'll interfere with us. What I do expect is when we get operational and going, that the sports leagues are going to go to Congress and they're going to say, repeal the ban and you regulate it. And we'll be okay with that because that's actually the way it should be done. And ultimately, that will happen, and we'll lead the way.
Well, why then, Senator, why isn't that the process going forward at this point to try to get the law changed in Washington as opposed to the state doing it without the blessing of the federal government?
Because I've been trying to get Congress to move for 5 years, and they haven't budged. But now they'll have a reason to budge because I believe we'll ultimately get the sports leagues asking them to change it. The NFL is a very, very powerful, and the other leagues too. They're very powerful. They have a lot of influence in Congress. Ultimately, they're going to ask for Congress to move. They haven't listened to us so far at all.
Have you heard from the Justice Department at all, or anybody in D.C. that says the feds are not going to move on either the facilities that host sports gambling or the bettors themselves?
Mm-hmm. What we have is the briefs that they actually filed in the U.S. Supreme Court to say this federal law does not violate states' rights. The state can repeal its laws prohibiting betting on sports betting if it wants. We're going to take them for their word.
Okay. You mentioned the legalization of marijuana in Colorado and Washington, where other states, their only compelling interest in those state laws would be, you know, if people carry it out of state or drive it out of state or something like that. Whereas in sports betting, there would be vested interest in Pennsylvania and Delaware and New York and Maryland from their casino efforts to try to not have legalized sports gambling in New Jersey. Isn't there more incentive for the feds to block sports betting in New Jersey than there would, let's say, for the marijuana laws in Colorado and Washington?
If they try to block us, they'll be violating their own arguments before the Supreme Court. And that just doesn't make any sense that they would do that.
All right, and finally, Senator, I'm a little confused because when medical marijuana was rolled out in New Jersey, The governor said, let's go real slow. We want to make sure the feds don't get involved, don't sue it, don't shut us down. And yet with casino gambling, or sports betting rather, it seems like he's got a different take on it. He's perfectly fine sort of challenging Washington when it comes to that. Why is this different?
Well, first of all, this has already been approved, overwhelmingly approved by the voters of the state of New Jersey. That's what makes it different, for sure.
Okay, so September, you say you're going to be at Monmouth Park and you're going to be placing your first bet. You want to lay odds on that? What do you think the odds are that you'll be betting this September at Monmouth Park?
Well, I'm going to be betting on the Giants to cover the spread against the Detroit Lions' first Monday night football game. I think the odds of me placing that bet may be better than actually winning that bet.
Before I let you go, I got to ask, because we brought up the NFL. We just had the Super Bowl in New Jersey, and there was some concern that sports betting might prevent the state from getting the Super Bowl. The NCAA tournament, the NCAA is not thrilled with the idea of sports betting. They've hosted the Final Four in New Jersey before. Are you worried about the blowback or potential blowback from professional or collegiate sports leagues?
No, not at all. We get very little benefit. We got very little benefit from having the Super Bowl here, but sports betting will keep alive our racetracks and our casino industry. Both of these industries are dying. People are losing their jobs. This will breathe life into them. It's much more important than the NFL or NCAA will ever be to the state of New Jersey. And once this goes nationwide, the only place that they'll be able to have their games are in the state of Utah, and I don't think that's going to happen.
New Jersey State Senator Ray Lesniak, the high roller of the sports betting movement in New Jersey. Senator, thanks very much.
Thank you very much as well.